All right. Hello, everybody. I am so excited about our Zoom tonight. For those of you guys that don't know me, my name is Ashley Walmer, and I am stoked to talk to you guys about branding. So before I was in It Works, I used to be an esthetician. A lot of you know that about my story. I used to coach cheerleading. It was a big part of who and what that made me. But then after I had Andrew, a lot of you guys know that's when I started seeking out network marketing. I started looking for a way to make a little bit of extra income from home. Okay, so I started in network marketing, and along the way, I got really, really burned. And when that happened, because of some of my connections in the industry, I actually started working as a personal virtual assistant for a motivational speaker and a guy that owned over 17 companies. And I used to travel with him. I was exposed to many speakers, lots of different workshops and seminars. Got to meet some really fun celebrities like Oprah's boyfriend, Glenn Morshower, a bunch of different people. And all of these seminars, part of my job was to watch as I was taking notes for the branding part of it. So what was going on behind the scenes? Okay, so that way I could help my boss put on events like this, market them, brand them. I ran all of their social media accounts, his personal one, all of his corporate accounts, all of that kind of stuff. I learned how to do website design. He brought me into some of his other companies. And so this is kind of where that skill set kind of started. And what's interesting is when I rejoined this industry and started in It Works 3 years ago, I knew how important this was. I remember telling Mike, I need to start a website. I need to get a lead generation page going. And that way, when people come to my website, I'm gathering their information, gathering an email list of leads that I can be talking to. But sometimes this stuff takes so much time. And what I've learned is you might have a list of 1 to 20 of super important things that you need to do for your business that are going to help move it forward. But when a promotion comes out or when a fire happens in your business, right, you're looking at that thing and that's where your focus is, whether it's signing customers, signing distributors. And really, these other super important things that need to happen are just as important as that fire, but sometimes they get put to the back burner. And that's what's happened for me in my own business, you guys. As some of these things that are really important that I know are really important have gotten pushed to the back burner. And over the last, I would say 2 months, it's just been put on my heart and a fire has been lit in my belly to really bring this to light and start teaching my team about some of this stuff to start pushing you guys so you can take your business to that next level. But that also I need to take the time required to put into some of this stuff because it is important. And when these things are in place, when you have lead generation coming in all the time and you're waking up every morning to a full inbox, right? That's going to sign distributors. That's going to hit those promotions. So even though it might be time consuming and it might not be that thing that's like getting you that distributor tonight, it will down the road. And when you set some of these things in place, it's going to be constant in your business, right? Kind of like scripts and messaging. We say to message people daily because when you're having daily conversations, that's how you're signing people daily, right? So, okay, I'm going to stop and we're going to get right into the nitty gritty. I'm going to tell you guys a couple of things and then get ready to start journaling. That's what tonight is going to be about. Like I said, it's going to be kind of like a workshop. So when you get clear on who you are and where you're going, you will attract people who want to jump on board, and they will be the people that you want to be in your business, not just anybody. But when you get crystal clear on who you are, where you're going, what you're doing, and you can put it out there, you're going to start attracting those people that you want in your business. And here's the thing, you guys, people buy people, not products, not companies, not corporations. They buy people. But you know what's really cool about that? We're the key. We are the secret sauce to our own business. We can take control over that. And about a year and a half ago, we had a mini boot camp here in Grand Rapids, and Pam Souter came, and one of the things that always stuck out that she said, because I've not really heard this a lot from a corporate aspect from our company, is she said, when you guys are posting on social media and you're posting pictures of It Works products, what you're doing is you're advertising for our company. She's like, thank you for that. You're advertising for It Works, but you should be advertising for yourself. You need to put yourself out there. And it just always hit me when she said that, because that's what I know. And that's what I've always done, is people buy people, not products, companies, or corporations. Okay. We're the key. We're the secret sauce to that. So tonight we're going to talk about 4 things, okay, that are going to help you put your brand together, your brand. We're going to dream for a minute. That's going to set the tone for this whole talk. All right. We're going to talk about brand clarity and how to define your purpose, figure out your audience, and come up with maybe an offering that you can give to these people. Then we're going to identify your brand. Okay, we're going to figure out who you are. We're going to figure out how you communicate what that is, how you're able to articulate what that looks like. All right, and then the last thing is marketing. We're going to pull all of this together, right? Because the marketing piece is the end game. That's what makes the sales, and that's what builds your business. Okay, so dream. Now, this is the part, to be honest, you guys, that I had the hardest piece or the hardest time with. Denise Walsh actually did a part of this exercise with me 2 summers ago. And now I have this note on my phone, and I'm constantly adding to it. When I do dream boards, this is what I go to. Okay, so we're going to dream for a minute. So I want you to write down 30 things I want to be. 30 things I want to do, and if maybe you're on a page, you can write columns, 3 columns. 30 things I want to be, 30 things I want to do, and 30 things I want to have, okay? And I'm just gonna preface this right now, you guys, you're not gonna get through all of this tonight. The key to this is that you're writing down what I'm saying, you're starting to think about it, you're starting to journal it, but what you're really gonna have to do is after we get off this Zoom, you're gonna have to start going back through some of these things, okay? So 30 things I want to be. Think of areas of your family, of your friends, okay, of personal growth and development. Think spiritually. What do you want to be spiritually? What do you want to do in your spiritual life? Okay, financially, finances. What do you want to have? What do you want to do with that money? All right, think about your career. What do you want to be in your career, right? Like if it's a rank, that would be, I want to be ambassador. All right, what do I want to do in my business or in my career? I want to go do X, Y, and Z. What do I want to have? All right, I want to have leadership in my organization. Okay, so then the same thing for romance, fun, your recreation and hobbies. Think about things that you like to go do. Think about things you want to have materialistically, right? Like when Mike and I did this, he was like, I want a personal gym, like downstairs in our, like a furnished like gym. I want a basketball court in my house. I wanted a hot tub. I wanted a pool. Those are things I wanted to have. Think about giving. Think about your health and fitness. Think about your physical environment, right? Do you want a house? Do you want 2 houses? Do you want a lake home? And then in all 3 of these things, 30 things I want to be, do, and have, think about what you want to see, what you want to try, what you want to own, and what you want to visit. Okay? So I'll give you guys just a second or 2 to kind of think about those things and start journaling and writing down your be, your do's, and your haves. And then I will look through the chat to see if there's any questions. And if you guys do have questions as we're going through this tonight, make sure you guys put it in the chat, okay? I can go back through and answer. There's also like other leaders that can help answer anything. But this is all about you guys tonight. 30 things you want to be, do, and have. Kind of makes me want to go back and look at my list. Okay, let's go ahead and move on, you guys. Like I said, you're definitely going to have to go back through this and journal for sure. Take time tonight to start thinking about some of this stuff, and then it's just going to evolve. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about brand clarity. All right, let's get clear on your brand. Okay, so the first thing is, what is your purpose? Okay, what do you do and why? Okay, so think about, like, when people ask us what we do, how many of us say, oh, I work for a health and wellness company that has 30 plus products, right? Is that really what we do? That's who we can't even say work for, because we're our own bosses, right? But what do you do? Like, think about that for a minute. And how would you answer that question based on what I just said? Like, if it's not health and wellness, if it's not what do we do? Oh, I work for a health and wellness company. What do we do and why? Get specific, okay? Focus on what you enjoy doing every day. What is it about what we do that you enjoy doing? What do you thrive at? Also consider, like, maybe underlying reasons of why you're doing it, okay? So an answer could be, you know what, I help people get fit and get healthy and make some extra money to keep them, from going bankrupt because, I had a situation in my life where that happened, or XYZ, whatever that is. Okay, when you can articulate and be authentic about who you are and put it out there, you're just going to draw people in when you can give them what you do and why in that, like, elevator speech. So what unique value do you bring, okay, to, like, your niche? And when you hear the word niche, what I want you guys to think of is potential distributors and potential customers, because our niche is team members and customers, right? We are selling a product, but we are also selling this business, which is our team. So what value are you going to bring to your customers? What value are you going to bring to your potential team members that are going to be joining you in this? And why would someone either buy from you, buy your products, or join your team over someone else's? Okay? What value do you bring, and why would somebody buy from you or join you over someone else? How do you want people to feel when they think about you, when they think about your brand and what you stand for? And we're going to get into all of that. But how do you want them to feel? If someone were to leave, like, a review or leave a comment, okay, about who you are, what would you want them to say? Okay, so that's kind of all encompassing your purpose. And I'm going to ask you guys some deeper questions later that are going to help you kind of journal and develop some of this stuff. But this is just kind of some stuff to think about. And obviously you can write down these questions. Okay. So now let's talk about your audience. And this all falls under, like, that brand clarity. We're getting clear on our brand. Okay. Your audience. So who is your ideal team member? Who's your ideal loyal customer? Okay. How old are they? What do they do? What interests them? What keeps them up at night? Like, what are they struggling with? And think about your audience as a single person, okay? Describe him or her as in much detail as you can. What are their goals? What are their aspirations? Do they want to get out of debt? Do they want to help other people? Do they want to get healthy? Do they want to lose weight? What struggles may they face? Are they working with kids and they hate working and they just want to be home with their kids? Get crystal clear on who your audience is, who you're targeting, okay? And I know if Cami were on this Zoom right now, one thing she would say too is write down a list of qualities that you're looking for in your potential team members or loyal customers. What are qualities that they have, that they possess? Okay, and then the last thing, I'm going to talk about this, and some of this might go over some of your heads because you might just not be there yet, and that's okay. But I'm going to talk about this anyways because I know that there are some of you on here that are ready for this, and some of you that aren't. You will be if you guys put some of this stuff into practice. Okay? So in your brand clarity, what is your offering? And what I mean by that is, what are you offering that could provide help for your audience? For example, if you have a blog and you're getting leads that come to your page, do you offer them a freebie? Okay? Something that's like in our industry, I'm thinking about this right now. Like, what can I offer when I'm starting to talk to my loyal customers or potential loyal customers, like in weight loss? Like, here's 10 foods that help you shed pounds fast, right? And I can write up this little email and say, hey, I'm going to send you over a freebie. Okay? That's an offering. That's me adding value to them. What tips could you write up in a free email, or even start thinking about this from your social media? Like maybe once a month, you want to do tips on your niche, right? On your target client. You want to give tips for health and wellness. Maybe this week is the 10 reasons why drinking water is healthy for you, right? Just start thinking about how you can offer value to benefit your audience. Okay, think about the outcomes that would start to achieve. And then what differentiates you from what you're offering compared to like what other people are offering. And what I mean by that is, what is your experience and your unique personality that you're bringing to the table? Maybe you're really good on video and these should be a video or a vlog. Maybe you get tongue-tied and you're better writing, right? So think about your personality. Okay. So any questions about that, you guys can go ahead and throw that in the chat. That is all about brand clarity, getting clear on your brand, your purpose, your audience, what you're offering them. Now let's talk about brand identity. And this is where you guys are going to be writing a bunch of questions. Okay? So we're going to be talking about your why, who you are, the best version of yourself, your missions and passions, and visually, what does your brand look like? So we're going to start to identify your brand right now. And just so you guys know, like when I started doing this, I did it in like a journal, like a mind map. I just started like writing words on this huge piece of paper to start filling this out. If that works for you, that's great. You can write the question and then start like writing or typing answers, whatever's best for you, okay? Journaling, mind mapping, whatever you want. So let's define your why. I know for me, this is sometimes for my team, it can be a hard question. Some people have a hard time developing their why, and what is it? I don't know what my why is, right? So your why. The first step to getting what you want is actually knowing exactly what you want, but why you want it. Okay, so I am going to ask you guys a very simple question. What do you want? Why? Why do you want it? Okay, so answer that. What do I want? And it can be something so simple. I want to come home to my kids. Why do you want it? I don't want my kids to go to a babysitter anymore. Then ask yourself again, what do I want? I want a house that's paid off. Why do you want it? I'm so sick of living in debt. Okay, again, what do you want? Man, my parents are starting to get older and I don't want them to have to worry about finances. Why? Because I watched them struggle my whole life and I don't want them to have to go through that. Okay? Ask yourself this question no less than 7 times. What do you want and why? And once you get to the end of that trail, okay, what will happen is either you're going to realize and encompass maybe 3 or 4 themes in that all, like those are all encompassing, or you're going to do this from a standpoint of what do you want and why, and each time you say what do you want and why, it's going to get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, like an onion. We're peeling back those onion layers, and you realize that your why is so much bigger than just coming home to your kids. Okay, so no less than 7 times, ask yourself, what do I want and why? I'm going to give you guys just a second on that. Okay, so the next part is where we are going to start to define who you are. Okay? So what is important to me? Start thinking about those things that are important to you. What's important to you? Okay, family, honesty. It can be, you guys just journal what is important to you. What are you passionate about? Okay, what lights you up? What keeps you up at night? What gives you that fire in your belly? What are things that you're passionate about doing? And then this is kind of a fun question. What sounds exciting? What are things that excite you? And maybe it's things you've never done before and you're scared to do it, but it sounds so exciting. Okay, what sounds exciting? What is something new that you've never done that you'd like to try? What's something new that you'd like to try? That one's really hard for me because I start thinking about things I haven't tried and I get scared. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do those things. Like jump out of an airplane. No. But it sounds exciting. Okay. What do you want people to remember about you? These kind of questions are the ones that get me like journaling, like hardcore. What do I want people to remember about me? Okay. This next one's kind of interesting. What specifically would make you feel happier? So think about those areas in your life that maybe you're not super happy with. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's a habit that you have. Maybe it's stress. Maybe it's, your business in one aspect. Maybe you're not doing what you say you're supposed to be doing or you should be doing and you know it. What are those things that you're not happier in? And then what specifically would make you feel happier? Right? Like maybe you're having you and your best friend, like you're just not happy in one of your relationships. So what can you do to specifically make you happier in that? Maybe it's you going out of your way to set up a coffee date, right? So think about what specifically would make you feel happier. Next question, what do I enjoy doing? What are things that you enjoy doing? So maybe think of like hobbies, right? Things that you just love to do. It's funny. Think too, maybe not just about your life right now, but just in general. Like I love photography, you guys. Like it was a huge passion of mine, something that I love to do. And since having kids, like I just don't go and take pictures like I used to. But I enjoy doing that. I love doing that. I wish I could get back and find the time, right? So maybe I need to prioritize that. Maybe I need to do that. So think about things right now that you're necessarily not even doing in your life right now, but you did enjoy doing at one point that are a part of who you are, okay? And the next question is, where would I like to be 3 to 5 years down the road? This is kind of an interesting one. Where do you want to be 3 to 5 years down the road? Think about your life, you guys. If you're married, think about where do you want your marriage to be? Where do you want your kids to be? Like growing up, like I have feel like this huge responsibility to make sure that my kids are like patient, kind human beings and they're not little butt heads all the time, right? Like I have that. So in 3 to 5 years, I hope that I can start seeing a glimmer of that. So think about, your business, think about, your health. Like where do you want to be 3 to 5 years from now? Okay, then this is a fun question I actually just threw this one in today when I was like working through some of this stuff. And who do you admire? Who are some people in your life that you admire, that you look up to, that are inspirational? And then maybe jot down like a few of those names. And then why? Why do you admire this person, right? Is it one specific quality that they have that just makes you, oh, I just love them, right? And then do you have things in common with them? You guys, a lot of times, like people that we like to be around and people that we look up to are like us. And that's like a mirror of looking at yourself and going, okay, I have a quality that is similar like that, and start pulling it out of yourself. Okay, so who do you admire? Who do you look up to? Who inspires you and why? And it might be somebody you've never met. Okay, so the next question is one question with 5 different moving parts to it, okay? So I'm going to ask you guys, if you could create the best version of yourself, what would that look like? All right? So the best you. So I want you to think in your spiritual life, okay? So start journaling. What would be the best you spiritually? Would you do a devotional every day? Would you pray with your kids every day? Would you go to church? Would you be in a Bible study? But like if you could be the best version of you spiritually, what would that look like? And I know I'm probably cutting you guys off as you're typing, but we got to get through this, right? Okay, this could be a workshop, like a legit like couple-hour workshop where like I stopped and given everybody like time to finish it, but it's not. I'm trying to do it in a Zoom. Okay, then the best you physically, like physically, what is the best version of yourself? I remember when I first did this, it was I want to detox and juice every 8 weeks. You know, I would work out 3 to 5 times a week for at least 30 minutes. Like I got super like exactly on what I would do. I would be running and I want to work towards finishing my triathlon. I was very specific in the best version of myself physically, right? I had it down to like not worried about the number on the scale, but how I felt about myself. So think about that. What is the best version of you physically? How do you eat? Are you keto? Are you vegan? Are you paleo? Do you not care, but you just want to feel good, right? What is that best version of you? The next thing is socially. So like, what is the best version of you? So like, what does your social life look like? And I remember when I first did this, I was like, are they really asking us that? But then I was like, yeah, because your social life is so important for you to have those outlets, right? Maybe you're an introvert and your best version of your social life is very different than mine because I'm an extrovert, right? But what does that look like for you? Do you have a girls' night once a month? Do you have date night with your husband once a week? Or is it once a month? Or what does that look like, your social life? Okay, and then what is the best version of you financially? Okay, what does that look like? If you were in complete control of your finances, how much would be in your savings account? Would you still have debt? Would it be maybe your house, student loans paid off? Maybe you're starting to save for your kids' college. What does that look like? And then the last thing, the best version of you is like charitable, giving back. What charities do you feel compelled to give to? And maybe even how much money? What does that look like? Is it to church? Is it tithing? Is it 10% tithing like you want because that's the best version of you? Or is it 15%? Or what does that look like? Are you going on maybe a missions trip once a year? Are you serving in your community? Are you giving back, like, community service type stuff, working at a soup kitchen during Christmas? Like, what does that look like for you? Okay. So these next questions are going to start to define your mission. Okay. So if you want to just write define my mission at the top. These next questions will help you do that, okay? So, who are you? Are you a mom? Are you a wife? Are you a stepmom? Are you a Christian? Are you a millennial? Are you middle-aged? Are you happy? Are you... Think about all those things that make you you, okay? Who are you? I should have had another note up of like how I answered all of these so I could keep giving you guys like suggestions to write about, because it's easy when somebody's telling you, you're like, oh yeah, I'm that, I'm that, I'm that, I'm that. Okay, what do you stand for? Where are your like virtues and morals? Like what are some things that you're just like rock solid, you stand for, that you don't compromise on? What do you stand for? Who do you feel called to serve? Now, I have to tell you that this question for me has changed over the years, because when I was coaching cheerleading, I 100% felt called to serve young women, that I would always be in a position where I was working with women that are middle school, high school age, right? That I felt a huge calling on my life with that. And as it's grown and as I've gone through other things in my life, I have actually made that less narrow, and it's just women in general. Like I feel very called to serve women specifically. Okay. So who do you feel called to serve? Is it kids? Is it the elderly? Like what does that look like for you? What do you want to be known for? I'm going to ask you guys two questions, and they kind of sound the same, but I want you to figure out the difference. What do you want to be known for? And what do you want to be known as? Because as is you, it's your character. For is the impact you've made. Okay? So what do you want to be known for? Think about impact. Think about what you've done on this earth. When you leave it, what is the impact? What do you want to be known for? And then the next question is, what do you want to be known as? Those would be like, I want to be known as a kind, loving person that made everybody feel good about themselves when they were around me. You know, it felt that like I cared about them, right? That's what I want to be known as. And then how do you want people to perceive you? So what is somebody's perception of you? And you guys, honestly, like this might be a question too that you might go to your friends and you ask them, you know, my phone just went silly on me. You might ask them questions like, okay, I had a girlfriend the other day reach out to me and she said, quick, in one word, describe me, you know? And you guys, people that know you, ask these kinds of questions because you're able to get some clarity on some of their responses. They might not all line up 100%, but they might see something that you don't see, right? And we all have blind spots that we don't see that are sometimes negative things. And if we don't know what those are, you might be perceived as something that you don't want to be perceived at. And that's where that line of going, okay, I'm going to self-reflect enough to grow and to not take this personally comes in. But ask people that question. Okay, please work. Oh my goodness, it's super annoying. Sorry, guys. My phone is, there we go. I got it back. Okay, good deal. Okay, next question. Okay, so those questions kind of define your mission. So when I say define your mission, when you can answer some of those things, you're going to be able to, once you get a clear picture of all of those, who you are, what you stand for, who you feel called to serve, what do you want to be known as, you're getting some very clear words, I hope. And some of those words are standing out to you. Okay, you're starting to feel like, all right, like I know who I am, I know what I can do. Then you can kind of create like your own personal mission statement or passion statement. And I'm going to help you guys give you some of those things. But what is one sentence, okay, that you wish that you could say to the whole world? All right, and if that sentence is something that defines you, that's your mission, right? You broadcast that, you hashtag that. Let that brand you, okay? So I want you guys to write down the word, I believe, blank, okay? And here's why. What do you believe and why? Okay? Start thinking about those. I believe that every woman should feel special and important and loved and confident. And here's why. Because when she can understand her truth about who she really is and step into that, she's going to feel so empowered and inspired and unstoppable. And it can change the whole world if women can feel and live from a place of being loved. All right, I'm just like pulling that out, right? So I believe, and here's why. And then here's another thing that might be able to help you. Because I am irrationally passionate. I am so passionate about blank. And I'm on a crusade to blank. Okay? Those are, I would never actually use those words. Like I would never say, I'm on a crusade. But when you finish those sentences, you guys, you can start figuring out like, oh my goodness, like what makes me tick? What is that fire in my belly? And then you're able to kind of come up with like your vision of where you're going and what you're doing and who you are. Okay, so the next part of identifying your brand, you guys, is not just figuring all that out, but also the fun part. And when I say fun, it's fun for me, being creative, is you have to be able to then communicate your brand visually, okay? So if you think of your brand as like DNA, all right, based on who you are, work your way through the key pieces of what is your brand's DNA. Like, what are those things? Like visual icons, okay? So that's your logo. Those are colors. What are your favorite colors? What are some colors that you are going to start being very consistent with using? Pick, I would say, between 3 and 5. What are some fonts that you love? Pick 2 to 3 fonts. Be consistent with those. Why? Because people are going to start recognizing that as you and who you are. Do you have a theme for your social media? Okay. Do you post every morning an inspirational quote and then in the afternoon something different? On Instagram, is there a theme? Mine is face, no face, meaning I post a picture that has a face and the next picture is no face. Okay, that is a theme. Do you have a theme where on this column everything lines up and then on this one they're all quotes and on this one it's all products or whatever that is? What is your theme? And then like what kind of photography do you want to put out there? What kind of images, what kind of pictures draw your attention? Are you drawn to white pictures with white background, clean pictures? Are you drawn to super bright stuff? Okay, so figuring out what you're looking for and what you represent, and then start being very consistent about what that is that you're putting out there. If you guys want to create a logo for yourself, you can do it on WordSwag and an app called Canva. And start putting your little icon, your little logo in the bottom of every single one of your pictures. Okay? That's just a real quick tip to start branding you. Like branding 101 is start branding your pictures, every single thing that you put out there. And if you have a team name, yeah, Canva, C-A-N-V-A. If you have a team name, all of your team pictures, like team promotions, it can be your team brand, right? Everything else can be you. And you are your best brand. We already talked about that. The whole people by people, okay? We're the key to all of this. And then outside of visually, think about like the language that you're going to want to use, because some key words that represent you, okay? What is, like we talked about, your mission, your slogan, special words and phrases that make you unique, okay? So what are those key language things that make you you, that you can start being consistent on? All right, so now let's talk about marketing. All right, so here is a term that I found a while ago that I just loved, and it's called mission-driven marketing. And it's if everything you do is out of a place that's going to support your mission and what you're passionate about, The marketing part is going to come easy, and it's going to come from a place of obligation and like that you want to, and not obligation. I'm saying like a place of duty and responsibility instead of obligation. So if you're going to have a winning driven brand, you need a mission, a message, a method, and a mantra. And then this is all seen in your marketing. Okay, so where are you marketing? What is your market? We already talked about your audience. That's different than your market. Marketing as in, are you marketing online? Are you marketing offline? Okay, offline would be vendor events, networking events, in-home events. What do you look like? Maybe you wear a certain color every single time that you do an event. I met a girl one time that her brand was all red, and she wore a red dress to everything, and everybody knew her as that, right? That was her brand. What are certain things how do you carry yourself at these events? What do you do? How do you talk? Things like that. Okay, so what does that marketing strategy look like? If it's online, we kind of already talked about visually, coming up with the same fonts and only using those fonts every single time you post. Okay, so that way people, when they see that, they're like, oh, that's Ashley Walmer. Oh, that's Steph Johnson. Okay, oh, that's Amber Parker. They already have those like ingrained in their brain because you're so consistent. You know your brand, you put it out there, whether you're offline or online. Okay, start thinking about some of those things. Do you want to have an email list, right? So maybe some of your marketing is emailing. You're getting some lead generation coming into a website that maybe you could create. Okay, so what strategies are you going to use to grow your email list? How are you going to incentivize your audience to subscribe to your list, right? Like free stuff. We talked about that earlier, giving them a free little freebie. It's building that relationship with them. That's how you move somebody from cold to warm to then hot, is you're adding that value and building that relationship. How often are you going to communicate with them? All right, think about those things. If you're wanting to do some email marketing, how often are you going to communicate? How much is too much? Where does that line go of like, you don't want to become somebody they don't think about, Then think about socially, okay, or on social. Okay, what platforms are you going to focus on? Facebook, Instagram, both, Twitter? How will you engage with your followers, and what are you going to share with them? And then what do your competitors do well on social media? Okay. And then I think, when coming up with content that you're putting out there and you're trying to be consistent and you're like, what do I post? What do I post? What do I post? Think about, okay, where can you get content from? Quotes. You can read a quote, write how that quote made you feel, how you implement that quote, how you live it out day to day. You don't have to just post the quote, right? Books you're reading. Maybe you were super moved by a chapter or a paragraph in a book. Make a post about it. Go live about it. All right? Seminars, workshops that you go to. If you went to GLS this summer, write posts about some of the, tips that you learned about leadership. And here's the thing, you guys, you don't need to say in your post, or if it's an email that you're sending out, my tips from a leadership summit. No, it's Ashley's top 10 tips on leadership. And I pull this tip that I learned because they're my aha moments, right? They're my aha moments that have hit me to go, oh my gosh, that's super important. That is a unique quality that somebody has to have in leadership. So I'm going to add value to somebody and make a post about this one thing that I learned and why it was an aha moment for me. Okay. Do like Tip Tuesday, right? Or do every Wednesday you go live at 10 a.m. talking about a health tip or something like that. Survey question, ask questions that people that are in your audience, remember who your audience is, potential customers, potential distributors. So do survey questions, ask them questions, right? People you admire, talk about people that you admire, post about them, talk about them. And then like going through just like articles, if you're reading articles on whether it's Pinterest, whether it's TV, whatever it is, things that you hear about, things that you're passionate about, like talk about those things. Okay. And then don't forget to add in that like tune in factor, why people are tuning into you, what makes you fun, what makes you you. Don't forget to post about those little funny things that you love that make you, you know, unique. And then let's talk about creating some boundaries with this. Okay. So boundaries help you decide what you do and what you don't talk about. Okay. And they help you manage your responses to those situations. So what are some boundaries? Here are some things for me. Stay positive. If something's not positive, that's a boundary for me, and I'm not going to post about it. You guys, even if it's a quote with a swear word, I won't post it. Even if it's like my favorite, funniest quote ever, and there's one swear word, I will not post it. That is me. That's a boundary for me. Okay? That might not be your boundary. That's a boundary for me. So, like swear words. Staying positive. Not participating in gossip online, okay? Sticking to topics that embody my core values, avoiding topics that do not represent my core values, giving yourself time to respond instead of simply reacting, okay? If somebody makes a nasty comment on, you know, your social media, is that a boundary for you? That's a boundary for me, giving myself that time, that space to respond, maybe not even respond at all, right? Listen more than I'm speaking, giving more than I'm taking, okay? So those are some boundaries for me when it comes to what I'm putting out there. And you guys, here's the thing, at the end of the day, like if it doesn't match your brand, if it doesn't match all of those questions that I asked you earlier, don't post about it. It's not relevant. It's going to, you know, when I was saying people see like certain fonts and they're like, oh, that's Ashley Walmer. Oh, that's Ashley Walmer. Okay, the second that I go against something that I normally post about, that's going to stand out like a sore thumb in a wrong way, in a bad way. Okay? I don't ever, 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 ever post about politics. So tomorrow, if I were to go on Facebook and even post a link to a CNN thing, that is going to go against my brand and what I stand for. And it's going to hurt my audience and it's going to hurt my brand. And so just think about those things like, what do you want to represent and what do you not want to represent? Okay? All right, so creating a brand that feels authentic and natural, it's going to take some time, you guys. Like I said, it's taken me even almost 3 years to finally get to a point where this is now an important thing that I am spending time, energy, and focus on. And don't get so hung up on like making everything perfect right now. If you guys just have some ideas in your head, but you just need to throw a post up because all of your stuff's not done or you haven't figured out every little thing, that's okay. So don't get so hung up on like having the perfect like social media presence or any of that kind of stuff. It's going to take time to develop all of that, and you're going to grow like with your brand. If you were to ask yourself these questions in 5 years, I hope they do change. I hope they evolve a little bit. I hope this entire thing evolves for you and you just keep growing and growing and growing into who you are. You're going to keep defining that and getting more clear and more clear. Your why is going to change. That's going to evolve. It's going to get bigger. So all of these things are going to evolve with you. So let it, and don't be so like rigid and make it like, oh my gosh, it has to be like this right now. Give yourself that grace. Okay. So that's it. That's all I got for you guys. So I want you guys to now go back through some of these questions, journal more, think about it, pray about it, you know, come back maybe in the morning or tomorrow or in a couple of days and even answer more of these questions, get deeper into more of them. It took me about a good solid month when I've taken some of these things have come from all different types. But when I first did like a 20-minute workshop and there was like 4 of these questions that were asked, I answered them. It was, what is the best me? What is the best version of myself? That was one of the first things I did like 10 years ago. And that, you guys, it took me a while. I had to like think about that, like really pray into like, okay, Lord, what is the best version of me? Like spiritually, or what do you want me to be, you know, physically? Like I was vegan at the time when I answered those questions and I was training for a triathlon. I'm not vegan anymore and I'm not training for a triathlon, right? So things do change and they do grow. So go back through those questions, let them evolve, pray over them, And if you guys do have any questions at all about anything that I talked about, like feel free to reach out to me. And I can help like walk through any of this with you and for you. And I hope you guys got something out of this and this was helpful or a good start for some of you. And I hope it wasn't too overwhelming for others of you, and just know that take this in strides, implement something, implement little things. And then just know too that like give yourself that grace to expand and grow. And even if some of the things tonight you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not even thinking about an email list and I don't even know what lead generation is. Don't sell yourself short, you guys. We are in business. We are businessmen and women. And something that maybe you don't know about right now, like don't settle yourself to think, well, I'm never going to do that, or I don't know anything about that. Learn about it, grow, have it be another income into your business, another way that you're getting income and generating, that. So any questions that I can maybe help answer, I'll go ahead and stop the recording.